Hi, welcome back to the channel and welcome to today's video. As you probably saw on the title card, we are making the combo hat today. And what do I mean by combo? This is the combo hat here on my little mannequin. Alright, it is a combination of crochet and knitting. I actually like a knitted brim better than a crocheted brim. First of all, for me it's a little bit faster, and secondly it uses less yarn. And the problem has always been to get the connection part right, and I think I've figured out the way to do it. So this is the pattern we're going to be doing today. It's just granny stitches. We can convert this to other stitches, but this is the simplest one to show it to you on. And yeah, I'll show you what you need. You need some yarn for the top and the brim. They don't have to be different colors. I'm doing them different colors so you can see where my transition is. You want to do them all in one color, that is fine. I have made the purple hat in a thick 8 ply, which I think is a 4 weight when you do weights. I'm going to do this one slightly thicker. So these are about, this is a 12 ply and this one was a million, so I have no idea, but it feels about the same. I'm also going to use a 5mm crochet hook and 4.5mm knitting needles. Now I like to use a circular needle, but because we're going to be knitting the brim in the round, you might need double-ended needles. If you don't like that, you can do it on straight needles, but you will need to seam it up before we join it to the hat. I'm going to show you this way. This is just the short cord with 4.5mm needles. Also you need your normal sewing supplies like scissors, wool needle, measuring tape, stuff like that. So that being said, let's get on to actually making the hat. So first off, we'll have a bit better look at the hat. I might take it off the mannequin. So we have the top. Now I used the last of a really nice color changing yarn for the top. And it's a granny stitch, granny cluster stitch worked out from the center, and then it's got about 7 rows of plain, and then we attach it to the brim. Now this brim has been crocheted on, which there is the join there. Turn it that way so you can see the V's. So that's with that on the inside and that side, and we're crocheting stitch by stitch, as in a knit stitch to a crochet stitch. And I would actually, if I make this hat again, which I'm going to, I would make the brim slightly longer. This was, I think, 4 inches. Let me double check that. Yes, it was 4 inches. I would actually go up to 5 because I wanted it a little bit longer. It's either that or you add more of this plainer rows. But anyway, let's get started. To begin with, we need our hook. Like I said, it is a 5mm, and I am going to be making it with the brown yarn for the top so that you can see better what I'm doing. Now I've also, bring this in, written out the pattern, and I just threw something on the floor, but whatever. So I will have this at the end of the video so you can look at it better, but hopefully you can see this. I might have to bring it down a little bit. So we're starting off with a magic ring, and then we want to chain 2, double crochet, chain 2 and double crochet becomes your first cluster. And then we got to chain 1 between it, and then 2 double crochet, chain 1 5 times around, giving us 6, which will give us the very inside circle here. Okay, so we will just do that. So we do the magic circle first, so try and hold that so you can see it, over and over, so you end up with an X under that one, over that one, pull it through, and then pull it through. I might just take that out because it's getting a bit annoying. There we go. So we've got our magic ring. Now you want to work over the 2 strands, so we do our chain 2, 1 and 2. I always hold here so that my tension is good, and then we want to put 1 double crochet here, and then a chain 1, and we want to do 5 more. I'll do another full one so you can see it. So that's that one and that one with a chain after it. So we see how we've got two, a pair and a pair, 2 pair. So we keep working around. We need 6 of them all together. You can do this with 4-ply and 10-ply-ish. This is actually 12, so 12 as well. Because we make it to fit the person. I can't tell you the amounts because they're all different. So just make sure you start off with a decent amount of yarn. So we now have 4 pairs. This one is 5. Always remember the chain 1. Oh, we just got a split there. Let's just redo that last bit. Got a split as it was coming out. And then 1 more. And 2. We do the chain 1 and then pull the loose string so it tightens up. And you want to go into the top of the chain 2 because your actual slip stitch gives it the top of that stitch. And there is round 1 done. 1 done with 6 pairs of double crochets. Now I'm just going to turn that over and pull that as tight as you can, and then I just do an overhand knot, and then pull it tight. I will show you that. All that does is hold the magic circle in place while we carry on. So we've joined with a slip stitch. Now we need to step back. No, I'll do that again. This is our slip stitch here. We're going to step back into the slip stitch and do a single crochet. And that one is the beginning of our next round. So there's 2 there. And we are doing 3 double crochets, which makes our normal granny cluster into that 1 gap. Every chain 1 is the gap I'm talking about. So there's that. And we'll go all the way around. I might come back when I've done all that, just so you're not watching me do the same thing all the time. And I will show you how to do the first increase row. So see you in a bit. The foreman's woken up. Come to see that I'm doing it right. Anyway, we finished that row. We have granny clusters in each space, and I have joined with a slip stitch to the top. This is the same way we will finish each row in the crochet section, so I may not say that every time now, but it will be written on the pattern, so do what you will with it. So we're now going to go back into the last hole, pick up a stitch and do a single crochet just to get us the height and to close that hole. 1, 2, and then we're going to do next 2 double crochets in the same spot. We will do our chain between. Now in the next one we are going to do a granny increase. Now the way we do it for this pattern is we do 2 clusters including the chain 1 between them in the same hole. So I'll just do the first cluster so we can see there's 1 there, chain 1, and then do the second cluster in the same hole. This will double the amount of stitches we have. And 1 more. And then we would chain 1 and we'll do the same in each one around. And then when we get back to here, actually I might come back when I'm here and I'll show you how to join on a increase cluster. So do that all the way around. So here we are, we have gone all the way around putting the granny increases in every space. And we're back at the first one. So we're going to do the first granny cluster. Make sure you don't forget your chain 1s between them. 3, like so. Do the chain 1, and then we are going same as we did in every other row into the top of the chain 2 that we did at the beginning. And that is our increase row all done. So start the next row the same way as we've done the rest. Chain 2. And then now this row is a plain row, which means every space, as in every chain 1, has a granny cluster in it. And this will even out our circle so that it's circle shaped, not hexagon shaped. So this is all you do all the way around until we're back here, and we'll join with a slip stitch, and then we have the second increase row. So I'll be back when I'm around here. So that's that row finished. That is our first plain row after the increase row. Now from this point onwards, you need to figure out how big you want your hat to be. So this is for the crown of the head. So we're going to guess about there is the middle of this mannequin's head. If we put the magic circle on the mannequin's head, we want our circle here to come out to just where the skull drops away. There is a little bit of give with crochet, but not as much as there is with knitting, so we want it fairly close to this size. So looking at this and looking what I've already done, I have 2 rows left to get me to where my fingers are. This is to make a close fitting hat. If you want to make a slouch hat, you can make this as big as you like. I've written the pattern for 2 lots of more increases, so that means 4 rows. I only need 2, so I'm going to measure this again when I've done 2 more rows just to make sure it fits. But keep that in mind for the size person you are doing it for. That being said, if you want to go smaller, I would suggest to use smaller yarn, not a thick yarn for a smaller hat, because you won't have enough stitches to attach your knitted brim to. So just keep that in mind. So now that we've done that row, we are going to do the next increase row. So we do the same, going back into our join, and then 2. And then we want to finish this cluster off. Let me just check my pattern for a second. Yep, so the next one is the increase. So we do the 3 double crochets, 3, and then the other 3 into the same hole. Chain 1. And then the next one will be a plain cluster, because we don't need them in every hole this time. So that's just a plain granny cluster of 3 double crochets. And you want to repeat this sequence here all the way around. Your last one here should be a double, and to finish with this as a single. So I'm going to do that all the way around, and I'll meet you once I've done that. So that's that row done. This is our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th row. So as I said before, the next row will be a plain row, and then I will measure it on the mannequin to see whether it's the right size. If it's not, there's another increase row with 2 between it, between each increase, and then another plain one. So I will go ahead and do that, and I'll measure on the doll. I'm pretty sure actually I'll be able to stop increasing after this row, but I will let you know when I've done that. So here we are. I've done the plain row after the last increase. Now I'm going to check it on my mannequin. So I'll just put that there, and then I'll tilt it to the side so you can see. So this is where I wanted mine to be. It's just hitting where the skull drops away, so past the widest point of the top of the skull. Now we need to do enough rows to get us to the top of the ear. Now if we just go like that, it'll give us some idea. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 rows. I'm going to do 5 rows. This is just the plain granny stitches, and then put it back on the mannequin and see. Yours might be shorter, yours might be longer. So that is just the plain granny stitch rows, not increasing at all until it hits the top of the ear. And my guess will be 5 to 6 rows. I'll do 5 and check it. So I'll be back when that is done. All the joins are, hang on, the same as every other row, which is just stepping back, pick up a stitch, do a single crochet, 1, 2, and then off you go. So I will do the 5 rows and then I'll be back. And here we have it. I have done actually 6 rows. This is the row I started just doing plain granny clusters with, and if you count down diagonally, there is 6. There, the top of the ear is right there, so that's less than another row. I'm actually going to stop there because the knitting does stretch more than the crochet, so I think that will be fine where that is. And as I said before, also make sure you do enough for what your, the size head that you're covering. I'll show you on this side so it might be a little bit clearer. The top of the ear is there. This space is less than another row's worth. So that's all we need to do with the crochet for now. But what I would do is pull off a fair bit of this yarn. I'm going to go about there, get my scissors, because we're going to use this yarn to attach the knitting to the brim. So that's, maybe a meter or so of yarn, and we'll push that out the way. Actually, no, before we do that, we need to count up how many clusters we have. Now, I didn't do the last row, so I should have 18. So let's just take it off because that gets that out the way. Where are we? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Right, I have 18. So we need to work out our formula, which is the amount of stitches. So there's 3 stitches in each cluster, so we need to do 18 times 3 plus another 18 for all the single crochets. Now I'm going to work that out, and I'm going to come back with my knitting needles and the yarn I'm going to make the brim with, and I will tell you what my number is then. Alright, so I have my needles, and the first thing I was going to do is measure the length of the cord between them, just so you know how long my cord is. So it's a 20 centimeter cord on 4.5mm needles. So I use the English knitting method, which is often called picking as well, and I'm going to use a long tail cast on. You can use any cast on you like. I like the long tail because it gives you a nicer edge. Another reason why I'm doing it this way is because it gives us a stretchier edge on the bottom of the brim. If we start from the hat, we're going to have quite a tight edge, at least I do. If you've got a special way to do it that's casting off stretchy, let me know in the comments because I haven't found one that works yet. So I'm just going to do a long tail cast on. So I've got a decent amount of thread passed, yarn, not thread. We're going to make a slip knot, just like that. Pull the back over the front, and then we're going to put that on the needle. Now you should be able to pull one of them and it tightens up to the needle. And we had 18 clusters. We did 18 times 3 plus 18 to do all the single crochets between the clusters, and that's given us 72 stitches we need to put on. So I've got you need to have the yarn with the ball on the top and the end of the yarn on the bottom. You hold them like that, put your fingers like that and like that, just like, and we're going under that one, over that one, pull it off. Under that one, over that one, pull it off. And that's putting stitches on our needle. So like that. Now, if you call this cast on something else, please let me know in the comments. I know this is long tail cast on, but it could be called something else in other countries. So once again, we've got the tail end of the yarn on the bottom. We've got the ball end of the yarn on the top. I'm spreading my fingers, turning my hand over, pick up, off. Pick up, off. Okay, so we're going to keep doing this until we have 72 stitches on here, and I'll be back to show you how to get the knitting going. Okay, so I have done 72 stitches on here, and they are tight on the circular needle, and they will be tight until we get the first 2 rows done. So I have turned the work over, that's my end, and this is the first stitch we did, and we're going to be doing a 1 by 1 rib. Now what that means is 1 knit, 1 purl, 1 knit, 1 purl, all the way around. And we're going to be working in a tube, so we're not doing any joins. So this is the first time the needles will be separated. After this, they'll be together until we're finished, as in making a complete circle. So we're going to do a knit stitch first. So we're going through the one that is closest to us, wind it around, pull it through, and then it's going to be hard to do to begin with till we get a bit of stitches done. You need to pull it off the end, right? And then we bring the yarn to the back, and then we're going through the front of that same stitch, well, not the same stitch, the next stitch, but the same loop, and pull it off. It is quite tight, and we go around this. Now make sure you pull the stitches around so it gets a bit easier as the more you do. So the next stitch, we've got the yarn gone through at the back. Through, it's always on this front loop of the stitch. Pull it through, knock it off. Bring the yarn to the back. Go like that. That's what you call a purl stitch. Pull it off, yarn to the front. Wind it around, pull it off, pull it up, yarn back. So you just keep doing this. There are other YouTube channels that are purely on knitting, so you can go and look at one of them that might show you a little bit differently that might work for you. Just remember to keep moving your stitches around until it gives you a bit more lax to be able to do it easier. It will be tight to get along with, but that's fine. We actually want this first row to be a bit looser anyway, so that's cool. Pull it off. And I'll just do one more, and then I'll show you what they look like. Just make sure you keep alternating. Now, if you look, this is our string, so our first stitch is here. And if you can see it, every second stitch, I'll use the pointer here, has a bump. So like that one doesn't, that one does, that one doesn't, that one does. The ones with the bumps are your purls. The ones without the bumps are your plains or your stockinette stitch. So we want them to be alternating all the way around. Now we just did that one, so now this one's a knit stitch. And that is all you do. And you want to keep just going around until your work measures 5 inches, or what's the opposite of 5 inches? There it is. So the opposite is 13 centimeters. So that's putting the 0 on the first stitch, and then the 13 will be on the actual cordage of the knitting needle. So that's how you measure it. I don't think I need you to watch me go around and round and round and round in circles. So I'll be back when this is done. This will be in a day or so for me, but it'll be in 5 seconds for you, and we'll go from there. Before you get going on your brim, I did start like I showed you previously with this yarn, and it turned out a bit too thin. So in the end, I actually used from both ends of the ball, so from the inside and from the outside, and I have now made my brim here. So this is just the 1 by 1 rib that I showed you earlier, and I have done it for just on 5 inches. It was getting awful close to the right size, so just on, it's just under. That will be fine, I think. And this was 5.5 millimeter needles. Because I went up, I had to bring the needle size up. So just be aware of that. It's really got to match the top thickness, and this yarn was quite a bit thicker than this on its own, but it's worked out pretty similar with them together. So that being done, the next thing you need to do is you need to reel off a generous amount of this yarn. So I'm going to go probably about that much. It's probably way too much, but that'll do. So snip that off, tush that away. And we're now going to attach the brim to the hat. So this is what it looks like from the good side. This is a crocheted on brim, and that is matching every stitch plus the chain one between them. Show you the inside. It's single crocheted on. Now you can do this. It is slightly more difficult to do. You've got to go really slowly, or you can sew it on. Now sewing it on might be a bit easier. You all know how to crochet, or at least you should. What you want to do is you want to get the top of the hat. You want to leave your needles on. And what I'm going to do actually, before I do that, to keep my stitch marker in, this stitch marker shows where I started, so I've got the same amount of rows. I'm just going to take this last stitch off that I did. That way I have the literal first stitch. Take that away. Pull that one off. And now we want to thread up our yarn that we have done with a wool needle. Actually, I might use that needle because we're going to have pretty big holes. And we also have the yarn from here. So I'm actually going to use all three of these yarns. If I had only two here, I would do two, but we have three. So pull that through. I'm going to make it so that the length of yarn is the same with both. Pull that, pull that. Right. So bring them all together, reel off a fair bit. Alright, that's where they stop. Cut that off so they're the same. Get my needle, there it is. And all I'm going to be doing is over sewing with the needle. So we're threading it up, all three strands, or two strands if your yarn is thicker. And then we will match them up. So this marker was where I finished. Take that out. Go through there and through the top of where you joined the slip stitch. And then I'm going from the back to the front with the one that's on the knitting needles. So that has tied in the loop that was here, joined the knitting and taken the first stitch. So we can knock that one off and pull this all tight. Yep, pull that one a bit tighter and we carry on. So turn this so you can see the V's and there. And that's all we're doing. Just make sure you do a stitch for every stitch plus the chain one. So we'll have one more here, right there, and then through that one. That is all we are doing. I'll just show you that. See how that's joining up? And it's actually quite a fluid join, which is what you want. So for the chain one, I'm going under the two loops at the top and having the other one behind, and then through the next stitch on the needle. And that is what you do all the way around. It will give a nice join. Take the stitch off. Every now and then, probably about 4 times, you'll want to put a knot in just as a stay in case like the hat gets snagged. So what I'll do it with this one. So before you pull it all the way through, come back with your needle, pull that, and then pull the lot off. And you see how that's made a knot there? Just holds it in place for you. So I'm going to keep doing this, and then the next time you will see me, I will have woven all the ends in and the hat will be finished. And here we have the hat finished. Now I wanted to show you this a bit. What I've tried to do as I've gone along is I've tried to put the actual stay knots that I did in the gaps between the granny stitches. See if I can spread it out a bit. See, there's one there and it's in the gap. so it's not bunching up the stitches. And this has just been straightened out, and as you can see, it holds the normal hat shape quite well, as opposed to this one with the crochet. It does bulge out a little bit because you've got the bulk of the actual stitch bulging it out. So this is why I went over to the sewing one. If you don't mind that, just use the crochet one. It's the same principle, one from one side, one from the other side, just you're making a single crochet instead of just going over. There's your single crochets there. So now I will turn it the right way so you can see the good side, and it looks really neat and tidy, pretty much good in line. I'm really happy with how this has turned out. So now I'll put it on the mannequin and show you on the other camera. And here we go. It's all finished. I'll slowly turn it around so you can see. It's come out really nice, and I'm quite happy with how this one went. I made it a little bit longer than the first one, so I think it's pretty good. Now you might be wondering, what's the purpose of a hat with all these holes in the top? And I don't know about you, but I have a lot of people that like hats, but they have cold ears but a hot head. And so this is ventilation. Okay, and it can come right down. This has got a ponytail, so you know it doesn't hug in as much as it could, but it will come in, and you can make this part as long as you like, so that's all good. So that's the whole video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you picked up the pattern where I've put it at the end, and I will see you on the next video, and you have a good one.